Welcome to the IVM Podcast Network.
You're listening to TFG Cricket.
Hello guys, welcome to a brand new episode of TFG Fantasy Cricket Podcast. My name is Nikhil and today we take a break from Big Bash League because Australia is playing Pakistan right now. So at the time of the recording, Pakistan are 120 for 3 roughly. Head has picked 2 wickets. We have Head, right?
Yes, Nikhil, that's right.
Okay. So, good going there. Let's see how it turns out to be. Today we are discussing New Zealand versus Bangladesh, second test. And we saw what happened in first test. I mean, Bangladesh, they came out of their comfort zone and played a massive innings, in the first innings. But in the second innings, they were down to 160, I guess, 160 all out. But looking forward for the second test, we have Mushfiqur Rahim, who is recovering from his injury, so he is out. Another one is Mashrafe Murtaza. He is also out because of injury. So these two players are out. It will be a different venue, it will be a different ground, and things won't be the same as the first test. Vivek Krishnan, come in with your points.
Thank you, Nikhil. Yes, so I'll be very, very surprised if New Zealand dish out the same kind of surface that we saw in the first test at Wellington. Normally, conditions in New Zealand are always bowling friendly. We have seen touring teams struggle there. About a month ago, we saw how Pakistan were bundled out cheaply in both the test matches, and the likes of Tim Southee, Neil Wagner and Trent Boult got into the act. We expected a similar situation with the Bangladesh team. Unfortunately, I don't know what took the groundsman. I don't know why he came up with such a flat surface. And obviously, that was exactly what Bangladesh needed. And credit to them, they capitalized, they cashed in from their openers to all-rounders to the wicketkeeper. Everybody chipped in with 100s, 150s and even 200s. So obviously, 550, 560 was a huge score. It was a record score for Bangladesh. They got some... They broke a lot of records along the way. I'm talking about partnerships, I'm talking individual records here. Shakib, Rahim, all these guys. And suddenly, the situation was as though the match is heading to a draw and New Zealand were looking for options. But poor cricket from Bangladesh, lack of application, I think some complacency also set in, and they lost the test match. Obviously, Mushfiqur was injured. It was a very terrible blow. He was taken off. Imrul Kais was also taken away on the stretcher. So injuries happen in sport, and that's how test cricket is also played. I think New Zealand realized that they had to come hard at Bangladesh, and they gave them the initial edge, which almost cost them the test match. So I think they would have learned from their mistakes, and going ahead into the second test at I think it's at the Hagley Oval in Christchurch, where you will expect plenty of seam and swing and bounce for the New Zealand Pacers, and I think this is going to be a reverse of as far as conditions are concerned, and New Zealand will start as overwhelming favourites. And like I said, Nikhil, I don't see Bangladesh standing up and fighting. Okay, they are not going to win the series, they are not going to win the test match, we all know that, but I'm not going to see any competitive fight from the tourists, because New Zealand have learned their mistake and they will come very, very hard.
Okay, so it won't be a repeat of the first test.
No, I don't think so. That's why we build our fantasy cricket team based around these things. And obviously, Neil Wagner, Tim Southee, Trent Boult, automatic choices. I think these three are going to be their lead pacemen. Obviously, the only spinner in the team is Mitchell Santner. And I think Colin de Granholm does a bit of bowling as well. But you don't pick them both. You only pick these three seamers. And as far as batting is concerned, again, Nikhil, Tom Latham... a lot of people didn't pick Latham in the first test match and they paid a heavy price for it. I just don't understand. He has been one of the most consistent batsmen for New Zealand for a long time now. He's been opening very well in test cricket across conditions, and his 100 was a fighting knock, and obviously in the second innings a masterclass from skipper Kane Williamson. So again, the makeup of the batting has to be Jeet Rawal, Kane Williamson and Tom Latham. Then you talk about the wicket-keeping slot. Now that Mushfiqur Rahim is not available, I think Nurul Hassan might be given the duties. But I've always been a big fan of BJ Watling for two reasons. One, he's a very gritty customer, bats number 6, number 7, gets those handy runs, and also when the ball is going to seam and nip around a bit, you expect him to, take quite a few catches, just like what we saw in South Africa. The ball was seaming around, Quinton de Kock was everywhere. So we expect a similar situation and similar result with BJ Watling as also.
Actually, tell me one thing. It's obvious that you will be picking up 4 Bangladeshi players, okay? But with Murtaza and Rahim out, does it become difficult to pick those 4?
No, I don't think so, because, look, again, people might go in for Tamim Iqbal. I've never been a big fan because he's got a very, very dodgy technique, and I don't think if the conditions are going to be favourable to the seamers, he's going to stick around for a long time. I expect somebody like, obviously, Shakib, universal choice, regardless of where he plays, given his accomplishments, he has to walk into any fantasy cricket team. After him, there are about 3 more players. I think Mohammedullah is one sane guy who will bat in the middle order. You talk about bowler, probably you're forced to pick Taskin, because the other bowlers are, Nikhil, I'm not too sure about their credentials, number 1, and number 2, the selection policy. You talk about Kamrul Islam Rabbi, you talk about Rubel Hossain, Shafiul Islam, all these guys chop and change. You don't want to pick them only to discover, okay, he's not playing. And even if he plays, how many wickets, always a question mark. So for the sake of picking a seamer, I would pick Taskin Ahmed, who I feel is better equipped to bowl in these conditions. So that's that. And one more batsman, I think I would pick Shabir Rahman. I picked Shabir Rahman in the first test match as well, and he was a standout. So there is no reason for us to do anything different here. Captain, vice captain, again captain. I'm very tempted for Tim Southee, man, again, because if the conditions are going to be favourable, like he did against Pakistan, 8 to 10 wickets in a test match, completely, rattling the opposition, and obviously the favourite has to be Kane Williamson. But I would only recommend, yes, Shakib scored, Rahim scored, Tamim scored, Mohammedullah scored. Don't get carried away. We are 99% we are not likely to see a repeat. I'll be very, very surprised if for your own satisfaction, if you want to go and convince yourself, you look down those numbers, look down those scorecards, how many visiting teams have scored big numbers in New Zealand, especially minnows. And if you think we are wrong, please get back to us with some interesting stats. We'll get you in our podcast.
If they do this, if they perform well, then definitely Bangladesh is making statements, and they are turning out to be a test. Otherwise, it was just one-off fluke that Bangladesh played.
I'm still not convinced about Bangladesh cricket. Okay, they can play a bit of one-day cricket in their own backyard, a bit of T20 cricket here and there, not test match. They are still far away, in my opinion. They might have beaten England in their own backyard, but again, as I say, Bangladesh, no due respect to anybody, they have spent many, many years on the international scene. No, man, I think they are okay team as far as international standards are concerned. In fact, Test cricket, they are pretty poor. No disrespect, but it is what it is.
Okay. That was a review come fantasy review kind of a discussion over there. Do read our articles on our website, thefangarage.com, in where you will find Fantasy Pundit as a tab. Click on that, you will read all the articles. You can follow us on Twitter as TFG Fantasy 11 and on Facebook as Fantasy Pundit. You can listen to our podcast where we cover all the fantasy matches in audio form, basically on Indusworks Media, Audio Boom, iTunes and SoundCloud. You can subscribe, share, like our YouTube channel as well. Till then, keep hunting. Thank you.
Our podcasts bring all the boys to the yard, and damn right, they're better than yours. But you don't need to stand outside in the yard. Just follow IVM Podcasts on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. We might be on Tinder too. Just go ahead and swipe right.